First question. Right now, I'm on track to make varsity for my freshman year. If I do, what should I expect from varsity basketball? And what do you think I won't be ready for? All right, to answer the first part of the question, what should I expect from varsity basketball? It all really depends on your skill level right now. Because if you're just on the cusp of being on varsity, you probably shouldn't expect too much time. But if you're really showing out and you have a lot of skill, you'll probably get some minutes and you might make a huge impact. So it's hard to tell what you should really expect because I don't know you on that personal level and I'm not in your direct situation. But that'll be my answer for that question. What do I think you won't be ready for? Once again, I don't know your personal situation, but if I had to guess, the pacing of the game will be shocking. If you've only played middle school basketball and maybe a little bit of freshman, that pacing is going to be much faster. So prepare yourself for that. Be ready for when the games play much faster. That'll be my advice to you there. Good question. Next up, we got Sharan. Coach keeps telling me to settle down and to, quote, move fast, play slow, and keep subbing me out because of it. How do you slow the game down in your head and stop overthinking, even if you aren't necessarily unconfident? Dom replied to that saying, I think film study helps. And then he said, my bad. All good, Dom. You don't need to say my bad, bro. But yeah, I actually agree with Dom on that. Watching film will help a ton. Move fast, play slow. That's an interesting phrase. I think I was told that before, but I was also just told, just play fast. I think your coach might be, I'm not trying to go against your coach here, but he might be overcomplicating it for you in your head. So instead of thinking move fast, play slow, because those are contradicting things, just think, all right, I'm making the quick reads, right? Film will help with that. And also, not overthinking and not worrying about it will also help you. Because if you're worried about, oh, if I do this wrong, then coach might bench me. Well, guess what? You're probably not going to play in the best way you can. So try your best to get your coach's voice out of your head and just play ball. That'll be my advice there. Next. Most ideal weight workout for a guard for shooting. I don't think there's a perfect ideal one. I think shoulder presses are really good. If you get a dumbbell on each side, however much weight, is comfortable for you, maybe 3 sets of 12, parallel grip. Those are always good for your shoulders because you use your shoulders a lot for shooting. Squats are always great. I did deadlifts in high school, but the risk reward isn't really there because if you mess up your back, that sucks. And yes, I guess you could build a lot of strength. I think hex bar deadlifts are much safer, but you can also use a bar. Just use good form. That'll be some of my advice there. I don't have a full workout plan for you set up, but I would suggest incorporating movements like that. Next. Does a guard need to be really strong to make up for their height? Yes and no. If you're a guard that's shorter than other players, you don't have to be a bully on the court, as you may know, but being able to stay on your line and not get bumped is huge. One thing I noticed as I started to score a lot more points and I had the best defender on opposing teams guard me, there's a lot of times when I would be going downhill and I was trying to go straight to the basket, but I would get bumped and I'm just completely off the path. So that's when I really got in the weight room and I started to use my strength more to stay on my line. Good question. Oh, Dom with another question here. What are some ways to keep God first while you're hooping? Ways to glorify God in our craft? Excellent question, man. First things first, when you get your success, thank Jesus Christ. I remember when I broke my shoulder, I was interviewed by, I don't remember exactly who I was interviewed by, but it was an article that went on, NJ.com and everything, which was cool. I made sure to thank God for my success and thank God for healing my injury. I'm only here because of the grace of God in my healing process. So I would recommend thanking God when you can. Also, uplift your teammates, be kind to your coaches, and just think to yourself, would God be happy with my behavior? And if the answer is yes, you're doing something right. Next question. Let me reset the screen recording because it only allows 5 minutes at a time. Okay. Easton, how can you defy the odds that are stacked against you? Ooh. Let me ponder on this one for a second. Well, I think the odds are stacked against everyone on the basketball court. Nothing is guaranteed unless you're the coach's son, but that's a different story. Everybody has the same 24 hours. Everybody has the same amount of time. But it's all about how you use it. Are you preparing for war? Are you preparing for riding the bench? What's your trajectory? Think about it like a line graph, right? This sounds really nerdy, but if you think about a line graph, right, and you think about the trajectory the graph is going in, is it going in a linear pace upwards, or is it going exponentially down, or is it going exponentially up? The more preparation you do before the games, before the season happens, the higher chance you have of that bar graph just shooting up, aka you exploding and having a great season. So, how can you defy the odds? Preparation. And you know what's interesting about preparation? Confidence is preparation. So, they say success breeds confidence. I disagree. I think preparation breeds confidence, and then confidence breeds success, and then success breeds confidence. There you go. There's a gem for y'all. What's your favorite / most effective drill for each basketball skill? Ooh. All right, I'll go one at a time. Shooting has got to be form shooting. You don't have to be right next to the basket the whole time. I would suggest starting right next to the basket. Let's say, I'll just tell you what I did. So I would do 30 form shots. They have to be swishes. 30 swishes in front of the basket and then on each side. And then I would take steps back on each side. So it would be 7 on each side and 7 in the middle. That I would take, 7 steps back. So I would do 15 at each spot. And that ended up being, I think, if I'm doing the math correctly, it's been a while since I did it. What was it? Somewhere between 300 or 280 to be exact, I think. But form shooting, definitely. Also, after those 30 shots right around the basket, if you don't want to do the 7 steps back on each side, just take 1 step back and just swish 10 or something, 10 or so. Make them swishes, and you can jump. That'll be my first recommendation. Finishing. You can't go wrong with the mic-in drill, but make it more difficult than the original mic-in if that's too easy for you. One that helped me a lot was, I call it the air mic-in drill. So you throw the ball off the backboard and you catch it midair, and then you lay it up. It's like a putback. So every layup that you do, you have to be in the air while you do it. It's a fun drill. That might be one of the challenges for Mark Madness, so be on the lookout for that. Dribbling. There's a lot you could do for dribbling. I don't think there's one that's better than the rest other than just freestyling, really challenging yourself, changing the speed, changing, how you're dribbling. But I think you need to do a bunch of different stuff for dribbling. Sometimes you can get a cone in front of you, dribble around the cone just to get that forearm strength and the control. Other times you want to be on the move. So I couldn't give you one for dribbling, but there's just a bunch of good ones. The longer you have the basketball in your hands, the better. My trainer in high school, he's like the best ball handler I've ever seen. He's got the ball on a string. When he was younger, he dribbled the basketball for 3 hours a day. Crazy work, bro. Conditioning. It's got to be sprints. Oh, also running hills. Those will strengthen your legs, and it's really good for conditioning. I remember our trainer had us run hills and run backwards up hills as well. So that's a good one. But any kind of sprints. Great question, Gabe. Eason, excluding passing, how do I get more space from the defender to not get blocked when I'm shooting from three or mid, like dribble moves and tactics? I would suggest studying Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because he is the master at this. Always doing that bump step back. Utilize your physicality without fouling. Don't fully extend your arm, but get that elbow there, get that forearm into their chest or something, and take that step back. To create space, it's all about manipulating a defender's momentum. So if you can get your defender leaning towards the basket, and then you could get off of him by taking a step back, he's going to continue to go flying in that same direction because that's just basic physics. It's inertia. Oh, hitting y'all with the inertia. Come on now. But yeah, an object in motion stays in motion unless it is acted upon by an outside force. So they're going to go flying if you do it correctly. John, what should be the main focuses for me as a power forward? Like any specialties that most power forwards are doing and that I should do. Well, as a power forward, I'm not sure how tall you actually are and how old you are, but I would recommend working on guard skills because you look at higher levels of basketball nowadays, it's more of a positionless game. You got guys like Victor Wembanyama, who's 7'5" or 7'6", dribbling like a guard and shooting from anywhere. Don't get caught up in, as a power forward, I should be able to do this and I shouldn't work on this, right? I think even as a power forward, you can sharpen your guard skills because if this is your final height, for example, in higher levels of basketball, you might get stuck at a guard spot. You never know. But I think working in the post is always good. Actually, a great player to study for that is not a power forward. It's actually Jalen Brunson. He's really good in the post. But of course, Hakeem Olajuwon, he's like the GOAT of footwork. Joel Embiid studied Hakeem Olajuwon, so you could also watch his post work. But those would be my recommendations, man. And final question of the day. Maxwell, what are your biggest tryout tips? And if you can answer another question, how did you diet as a hooper? All right, so I'll answer the first one. Biggest tryout tips? Hustle, hustle, hustle. You've got to hustle. You've got to be loud, too. You got to show dedication, show that you care. A lot of kids out here will think they're just going to be nonchalant and not show that they care, or maybe they're just shy. Even if you're an introvert, you just have to be loud. You have to break through that. If you're not loud at tryouts, you won't stand out. Immediately, I've been seeing it firsthand. I've been working with my old high school team. Throughout the summer, the coaches are watching the players saying, okay, we might like this guy in the regular season. We might want to keep him. Well, a lot of those players do the little things. They're loud. They talk. They're good teammates. They boost each other up. They're setting things up. They might say, hey, you go over there. I'm over here. I got this guy. Get me a screen, right? They're being almost like a floor general, And those are things that are in your control, which is awesome. So even if you're missing shots, if you're hustling on every play, you're being loud, that will stand out to coaches. Next question. How did you diet as a hooper? My diet wasn't perfect, especially at one point. I gained 5 pounds from my junior year to my senior year. Or was it 10? No. I think my most, I went up to 155, 156, but then I cut down back to 150. But I was just stronger. So my diet, at one point, I was eating 3,500 calories a day, but a lot of times I supplemented the extra calories with junk food, which wasn't good. But most of the time, I just ate as healthy as I could. My parents cooked home meals, which was nice. Just don't eat, at restaurants and, takeout as much. Don't eat crap as much as you can. And just eat the right things, bro. You know what's good for you and you know what's bad for you. Don't overthink it. But get calories. If you're working hard, get calories. All right? Don't make the mistake I did of trying to cut while training 3 to 4 hours a day because you're just not going to have fuel for your workouts. And then you're going to end up looking like a skeleton with like your ribs popping out and everything. All right. So calories, but try to get good calories. You know what I mean? All right, y'all. Post your questions for the next huddle. I'll put that tab up there. I love y'all, boys. I hope this helps y'all. As always, keep God first. Stay blessed, bro. I'll see y'all, man.